Hey, hello, hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Narendra, Krishna, Mamata. So let's wait for a minute and let's see. So how are the things going on with you? So everyone install the softwares. Hello. Hello, am I audible? Anyone?
Yeah, yes, audible.
Okay, okay. So I just was asking, is everyone okay with the installation and how is the practice going on? Okay. No answer.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
So is everyone joined? Let me bring up. Let me start the mission. So let's go. Okay, fine. I hope everyone is joined. I think we can continue. So guys, so what are the topics we have covered yesterday? So can anyone quickly tell me the highlights? Whoever attended the class yesterday. Okay. So no one. Okay, that's fine. Let me share my screen. So we have gone through the table space management day before yesterday. So this in details of what is a system table spaces of table space, how to create the new table space, how to add the data file, how to resize the data file, how to create the big table space. What is the difference between big table space and normal table space? Okay. So and then how to rename the table space, have a queries, how to drop the table space. We have gone through. These are the topics we have gone through regarding the table space perspective. And then coming to the undo table space management. So we have seen the how to create the new undo table space, how to assign it to the database as a default one, So how many undo table space can be used by the database? It's a one, right? Only one undo table space can be used by the database at a time. And similarly, we have seen the details about temporary table space, how to create the temporary table space, and how to add the temp file, how to resize the temp file, and again, the only one temporary table space can be used by the database at one time. So these are the things we have discussed yesterday. So therefore, we are completed on the table space management. So going further, today we'll go with deal with the user management. So let's explain. I'll explain the things. What is the user management? How to create the passwords, users, how to change it. Okay. So we have a user management in Oracle. Okay. Postdoc. And here I've given the startup, right? Okay. Perfect. Okay then. So any doubts so far till yesterday's class? Can anyone have quickly ask me the question? You have a time to ask me questions. Right. Okay. So today we'll go with the user management. So basically, what is a user management? So whenever we have a resource, I mean, when I say the resource, it might be the system, it might be the storage, it might be the OS, it might be the anything. So when I say the resource, and when user wants to utilize the resource, first thing they have to be created at particular resource type, and then they should have the privilege to access the particular resource, right? So when I say my laptop having the Windows OS, firstly, to utilize the Windows OS, the one user needs to be created, right? One user needs to be created. Then he should have the proper privilege to access the Windows. Suppose if he want to install any softwares, he should have the administrator privilege. Suppose if you want to utilize any shared storage, he should have the privilege to access that particular storage. Similarly, a lot of things are there. So in the same way, we have the users in the database as well. So we should create the users, then we should assign the proper privilege to the users in order to access the database. So it's a obviously DBA task to create the user, to maintain their passwords, and to give the access, to give the required access to the users. Obviously, it's a DBA task. So these things all called unitedly user management. So what users will do once we create the users in the database, what users will do? So maybe they might be access the database objects, they might be create, they might be delete, they might be update, and they might be select, they might be fetch the data. There are a lot of things. So when I say what do you mean by DBA objects? When I say the DB objects, those can be like tables, indexes, views, etc. Whatever they can create, whatever DB having in the database, those will be called as a DB objects, database objects. So any questions so far? So in database terminology, we called users as a schema. We called users as a schema. Remember it? We call users as a schema. Suppose when I say the user one in the database, so I can refer to as a schema. Suppose I have a I have a users called Scott, Banu, or some other thing. So whenever they send a mail or whenever I want to send a mail to them, so what is the schema you are having the issues? Can you please provide me the schema name? Can you please tell me the schema objects? Which schema objects you are having the issues? Such a things we can do. So remember that in database, schema is nothing but a user. Okay. So these are the things, guys. Now let me quickly draw a paint. Let me quickly draw a paint. So suppose here I have the database. Here I have the database. Okay. Here I have the user. Here I have the user. So to connect to database, user needs certain privileges. User need certain privileges. Okay. So what are those default roles user should have? Okay. Only two. He should have at least these are the minimum requirements. This is the minimum requirements or minimum roles to be assigned to particular user. What are those? So one is connect. Second one is resource. Third one is usage. I'll explain one by one what is these things. So these are the minimum 3 privileges that user needs to be, we need to be assigned to the users in order to access the database. In order to access the database. So whenever user makes a connection, so there might be requirement of creating the table spaces, creating the tables, no, not table spaces, creating the tables, indexes, lot of DBA objects. Lot of DBA objects he might need to be created. So he should have the privilege to utilize the database storage. Utilize the database storage. When I say the database storage, what is it explicitly? So database size can be defined on what? Anyone? Okay. So the database size is always depends upon the data file size. So where the data file belongs to table spaces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need to give the at least one table space to the user so that he can create the objects, indexes, DB objects, tables, whatever under that particular table space. Under that particular table space. And coming to the connect, it's a basic privilege to establish a connection to the database. And resource is to utilize the resources in the database. Clear on this?
Yeah.
Now let's go practically how to create the users and what is the syntaxes to create the users and everything. Okay. So, and one more thing I have to give is, okay, create session will be always subcomponent of connect. So this is the syntax to create the user. Okay. Let me make a new file. This is the syntax. So create user username might be anything. Username, what I can give? Username, I will give dev underscore user, identified by dev slash 1234. Profile. We have to give the profile. What is the profile? I'll explain this later. Profile, and we have to pass the default profile we are passing, and default table space where we will pass the table space. So I'm passing the user's table space so that this dev user can utilize the user's table space to store all his objects. And the temporary table space, I'm passing the currently temporary table space to user. That's all. This is the syntax of creating a user. Create user username, identified by password, then profile default table space. I mean, which table space you are telling to user that he can utilize, and temporary table space. What is the current temporary table space in the database? These are the keywords. Just Control C. Go here, and then open underscore mode from $3 database. It's a dev read write. So I'll paste it here. It's saying that user created. So user created, you guys understand? So you will get the requirement from the users or the client side along with the details. Please create the user. Then you will create that particular user and you will inform the username and password to the users. You always do it as a SQL/sys DBA roles only. Remember that you always should do the operations in the database by using sys DBA only. By using sys DBAs only. Okay. Now, how to validate this? I'll go to next. I'll just give SQL plus dev underscore class, right? What we have created. Slash, what is the password? Dev slash 134. No, capital dev we have given, right? Let's see. Okay. SQL plus dev underscore user slash dev hash 10124. Okay. Okay. So now it's able to, the user has been created. Now you are seeing the error here. So all of you are able to see the error here, right? What are error? What are 01045?
Yeah.
So what it's saying?
User dev user lacks create session privilege. Like there's no access for this, I guess.
Yes. So there is a no, we haven't granted any privileges to it. So the user should have the basic privilege, as I told, connect, resource, usage, right? So let's go and grant the privileges. The user has been created now. Now, how to grant the privileges? So here we have, right, grant create session. Okay, grant create session you can give, or else you can simply go here, grant connect, comma, resource. Who? What is the username?
Dev underscore user. Class.
Dev underscore class, right? No, dev underscore user.
User. The small. Okay, fine.
That's fine. So grant is succeeded now. So we have granted the minimum this one, right? So connect resource here and the usage we have granted here, right? Default table space users. So we have granted the all minimum required privileges. Now let's see, can I make able to establish the connection or not? So I'll just see now. It's been connected now. So user, if I give user is dev class. So if he create any tables or any indexes, create table example 1, a number 3, common name, varchar 20. So one table is created. So you guys tell me where this table has been created. This has been created under users table space. This has been created under users table space because we have passed the users table space to utilized by the user. Utilized by the user. So clear? Any doubts or any questions so far?
Can you explain that resource part once again?
Which resource?
Yeah, connect and resource. Connect is connect.
So these are some basic privileges, I can say. Okay.
Okay.
These are some basic privileges. Connect is to establish to create the session.
Okay.
So it's a basically, I can say it's a role. When I say the role, right, it's a collection of privileges.
Okay.
So we haven't touched the privileges and roles yet. So basically, you just please assume that it's a role. Connect is a role.
Okay.
It's so that it will having the collection of privileges, some basic collection of privileges.
Okay, to a particular user.
Not to a particular user. It's a role in the database. You can
Okay.
assign this particular role to any user.
Okay.
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 It's a role in the database. You can assign this particular role to any user, whoever you want.
Sure.
You can grant and you can revoke like that. So that's a basic admin's task, right? So you have to decide the users, so what can they access, whether they should able to establish the session or not. These and all your decisions, right? So no users can directly connect to the database. They should have some security perspectives. So for this, we maintain the privileges and roles in the database. Similarly, resource is to utilize the resources of the database. Like, a resource, whatever I can say, they can able to create the table, something like that.
Okay.
So you got it till here.
Yeah.
So then we'll see what is the next things. Okay. So suppose if this user again, we have created the user and we have given the details to the users along with his username and password. We'll send a mail. Hey boss, this is your username, this is your password, and this is the database details. When I say the database details, what and all things you have to give? You have to give the database name and the connection string details. I mean, where it is located, what is the database name, like that. So once he took the color, he took the details from you, then he start utilizing the database. One fine day again, he'll come up with, hey boss, hey DBS, my password has been locked, my account has been expired. Could you please help me on this? So there is some set of parameters in the database. There is some set of parameters in the database which will say at after how many days that account should lock, after how many days the account should be expired, after how many wrong attempts of password the account should lock. So these and all details where it will have in the profile. So we have passed the profile a keyword here, right? So which profile we are passing? We are passing the default. Let's see the parameters in the default profile, what and all things it is having. Okay. Temporary table space. Okay, perfect. So here, so these are just to format. I mean, these are just to format. There is nothing to worry about this. Then go here. This is the query. Okay, we are fetching the details. What are the parameters does default profile is having? So select profile, resource name, resource type, limit from DBA profile where profile equals to default. The default we has already passed to the user. We have passed it to the user. So what is the parameters? So when I say the profile, it will contains the list of parameters, right? What type of parameters it will have? It will be having the after how many days that user account should log, after how many days the user account should expire, after how many wrong attempts of pass with the password the user account should log, like this. Like this, it will have some set of parameters. So what and all things it will have, let's see. So we have these many of resources, these many of parameters, we will be having. So here, if you come here, composite limit, we have sessions per hour, sessions per user. Suppose I have a user dev class, right? I can define here how many sessions he can create to the database. So what do you mean by session? Can anyone tell me?
Each login, maybe.
Right. So I have a database in remote location, maybe US or UK, Australia somewhere. I'm logging it from remotely. I have opened the 3 putty sessions and connected with the same user. So that means the user is utilizing 3 sessions, right?
You can limit the access, you mean?
Yes. We can limit the access. We can limit the session access to the users. So these and all parameters where we will set in the profile level. We will set in the profile level. So once if I set here, if I apply default profile to any user, these all parameters will be applicable to them. So what and all details it will have? So how many sessions can be utilized per the user? How many CPUs can be utilized per the user? So like how if the session is not touched, if it is untouched for some time, it will be thrown the error, right? So that is called the ideal time. So how much ideal time we can assign to the user. So similarly, how many failed login attempts we can give to the user. After 10 failed login attempts, the user account will be locked. So what is a password grace time? Grace time means once your password is expired, so some grace time we can give up to 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. So these and all parameters will be defined at the default, profile level. So we can change anything as per our requirement, and we can assign this profile to the users. We can assign to the users. So let me quickly how can I say it? Suppose here I have the DB. Here I have the user. Here I have the user. So to connect to the database, what is the minimum requirements I told? He should have the proper privileges, right? Proper privileges. What are the things he should have? One is connect and resource, right? And usage. And usage. And along with this, he should have proper profile. Proper profile. Should have proper profile assignment. Suppose again here, what and all profile will having? What and all profile will having? It will have the set of parameters like password expire, account lock time, failed login attempts, then sessions per user. Similarly, we will be having some set of parameters, right? So we can say whenever we are assigning, let's say it is a default profile. Let's say it is a default profile. So we are assigning this default profile to the users. So when we assign the default profile to the users, all these values will be applicable to the users, right? So are you guys are understanding?
Yeah.
Okay, clear on this. So similarly, we might have to create the multiple users. We might have to create a lot of users whenever we get the request. So we need to follow always this flow. We need to always follow this flow. So if you change any parameter here, it will applicable to the all users, whoever using the default profile. Clear? If you change anything, suppose if you change the password, account lock time from 7 days to 8 days or 10 days, so it will be applicable to the all users. Those are using the default profile, whoever using the default profile. Understood? Okay, now let's go to the roles and privileges. What is the roles and what is the privileges? So here I have explained these parameters, what and all things it will be doing, number of file items. So I'll share this document. If you go here, you will understand the things. There is nothing to deal with practically. but for understanding purpose, you have to gain some knowledge on this. Okay, now let's go to the privileges and roles. What is the privileges? What is the roles? So privileges is a basically it's a one permission, we can say. Privileges is a basically one permission. Suppose if you want to use the keyboard, if you want to use the mouse, or if you want to use the storage, when I say the storage, you want to use the D drive, or if you want to use a C drive, like this. So basically single permission. Hello, did I lost?
Yeah, Banu, you dropped in the middle.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was explaining about the privileges. So wherever we are,
That single user, you said something.
so we have the privileges in database.
Banu, share the screen.
Okay.
Here it's.
Okay, right. So we are here on the privileges, right? Or else did I drop before than it?
No, exactly on the same part.
Okay. So when I say the privilege, it's a single permission, I can say. In simple terms, privilege means single permission. When I say the single permission, it might be the create session, it might be the connect, it might be the create table, create view, or anything. Okay. There are two types of privileges we are having in database. One is system privilege and second one is object privilege. So what is system privilege? So if I want to utilize the database at system level, like create session, create a table, connect to the database, these and all are the system privileges. So there is a nothing to deal with the objects, right? It's a just to connection of database, utilization of database. These are the system privileges. Suppose I have a user called dev user and I want to utilize the other schema objects. Like suppose I have the Krishna user in the database. I'll be having money user in the database. They have their own objects in the database. I want to access to them. I want to access to their tables or their objects. Then he needs to give the permissions to me. Those permissions, those privileges will call the object privileges. So you clearly understand the system difference between system and object privileges. We'll see one by one what is a system privilege. So these are the examples for the system privilege, like create session, create operator, create any procedure. It's all just the DBA things. What he will do, alter any table, grant any privilege. There is there are a lot of privileges. Okay, you no need to of go one by one, but you need to know what is these things, what is the things. Just for your reference purpose, I've added so many things. So basically system privileges are deal on the database level. Object privileges will deal on the object level. When I say the objects, it might be the tables, indexes, or views, or anything. So let's see the example for objects, object privileges. So how to grant the privilege to user? How to grant the privilege to user? So this is a syntax. This is the syntax. Grant privilege name. Privilege name. If you want to assign multiple privileges, you can separate with them comma. Grant privilege 1, comma privilege 2, comma privilege 3, comma and so on to the username. Which user you want to assign? Which user you want to assign? So if I want to take this and go here, and if I paste the user dev class doesn't exist. We have a dev user, I guess, right? Dev user. So take this, go here, grant successful. So similarly, you can assign the any privilege as per their requirements. So you no need to ask them, I mean, which privilege you want, nothing. They will come up with the requirement. They will come up with a requirement. Then you have to decide which privilege I have to grant. That's all. It is a task as a DBA you do. They will come up with requirement. Then you have to grant the privilege according to their requirement. That's all. If they come up with a, hey, grant me the privilege to create any table, then you have to grant it, like a grant create any table to the particular user. Similarly, if they come up with, hey, grant me the permission to alter any table, then you have to give the permission alter any table to that user, like this. Hope you guys understand what is a privilege. Then we'll see some object privilege. Revoke and all I'll explain later again. We'll see some object privilege. So these are the object level privileges. So execute, select, insert, these and all will be happening on the object level, right? Execute on the table, select on the table, insert on the table, index on the table, flashback, delete on the table, alter on the table. This is like this. Suppose here, if you see here, this is a syntax to grant the object privilege to user. Grant privilege 1, privilege 2, privilege 3, and so on which object you are giving the permission. On which object you are giving the permission. When I say the object, it might be the table, index, or anything. So it is the schema name. SAP CBEL is the schema name. Test2 is the table name or object name. So if I give this, the table which is under this user, I'm granting all these privileges to this user. The table which is under this CBEL user, I'm granting insert, update, delete privileges to this user. So you guys having any doubt or clear on this? So suppose here I have the, let's see, test DBA underscore users, select username from DBA underscore users. So I have 40 users in my database. I have Banu 1 schema is there, Banu 3 one schema is there, Banu 1 schema is there, like Scott 1 schema is there. If I want to give the any objects which are located under Banu 3 schema, suppose we have the table 2 or table 1 or any table. which is having the Banu schema, I can give the access to the any user on the objects, whatever having under Banu 3. That's what I'm saying about the object privileges, and this is the syntax for it. Here I can suppose test2 table is there under schema. I can give Banu.test and insert update delete on Banu.test2. It's a very simple, it's nothing complicated to understand, I guess. Clear on this? Okay, all right. So now we spoke about the privileges. Now let's see what is the role. What is the role? So role is a collection of privileges, guys. Role is a collection of privileges. Suppose it always sometimes it will be difficult to grant the privileges one by one to the user, right? Suppose suppose I have to grant the 10 privileges to the user. I have to go like this: grant create any comma privilege 1 comma privilege 2 comma privilege 3 and so on up to the privileges I need and to the users, right? To make it, and at the same time with immediately if I want to create the another user, and if secondary user also needs the same privileges, then I have to again run this command, run this query, grant privilege 1 privilege 2 privilege 3 and to up so on to the second user. So sometimes it's a difficult to do this, right? So basically what database allows us to do is we can grant the privileges to one particular role and we can assign that particular role to the users. We can assign some particular that particular roles to the user. So if you are clear on this, I'll delete this. And suppose I have the user here. I have the user here. So to connect to the database, he needs the privileges and roles and the profiles. We know the things. To utilize the database, he needs some minimum roles and privilege. He needs minimum privileges and the profile. So here I have a lot of privileges here. Okay, I have a lot of privileges here. I have a lot of privileges, I can say. So here P1, P2, privilege 1, privilege 2, privilege 3, privilege 4, and so on up to n privilege. So I can assign them one by one to the users, one by one to the users. I can grant them one by one to the users, or else I can assign them to a role, or else I can assign them to a role here, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, and I can assign this particular role to the user. So whenever I have a chance to create the user next time, I can assign, I no need to assign the privileges one by one. I can directly assign this particular role to the user. So you understood the concept of role here? So yes or no, guys? Okay. So that means you are understanding it. So whenever I have a requirement to create the users, I'll create them. I'll assign the roles to them. The roles is nothing but it's a collection of privileges. Role is nothing but collection of privileges. That's all you have to know. Then once you assign the privilege or role to the user, suppose after some days or some time, the user doesn't want some privilege. Okay, suppose user doesn't want to privilege on some objects or user doesn't want to privilege. How can you revoke it? So you just want to release the privilege. So we have an option in the database that we can achieve by the revoke option. So here if you see, it's the syntax for the revoke. Grant and revoke are the opposite poles. So grant for assigning, revoke is for eliminating the privilege from the user. See, whenever we are granting, we are using to user. Whenever we are revoking, we are using the from the user. So that you will understand the difference. What is the difference between grant and revoke? Suppose I have assigned these things. I have assigned okay, suppose I have assigned this we already done in the database, right? So what I'll do is I'll revoke it. I'll revoke, create any table, from the user. From the user. So it's a revoke. Now the dev user no more having the create any table privilege. It's a revoked. It's revoked. So similarly, whenever you have the multiple table spaces, suppose you have the table space 1, table space 2, whatever you create, you can assign the table space to the user. I mean, which table space they can utilize here. Which table space they can store their data. You can design a user such a way. So you guys clear on this? Any questions? So this that's all for today's session, guys. So if you have any questions, I will take it now. Okay. One more thing I just want to explain is how to drop a user, how to drop a role. Drop a user, nothing but again deleting the user. That's all. We are created the user. If you want to drop it, this is the syntax. Drop username cascade, so that all the objects those are located under dev class user, it will be deleted. Similarly, if I want to drop any role, drop role name. This is the syntax. Drop role name. So any questions, guys? Balaji, Krishna, Mamata, Shiva. If all clear on this, I think we can now wind up. And if you have any questions, I can take now. So it's your time now. Okay, no one is having the questions. So whoever will be coming to the institute tomorrow, I'll be coming to the institute tomorrow. Tomorrow around 11 or 11:30, I'll be there in the institute. So if anyone want to come and meet me, you can come there. Okay, whoever in the Bangalore, and we'll discuss the things wherever you are facing the issues, your difficulties. So I try to understand the things.
Tomorrow or Friday?
Tomorrow I'm planning to come.
Okay. Then I will be there.
Okay, perfect. How about Krishna, you? Hello, Krishna. Okay, I think he's on mute. He's on mute. So, okay then, guys. So if you don't have anything, I think we can wind up. If you have anything, just kindly ask me or ping me over the WhatsApp. So I'll share this document to you over the WhatsApp. So you guys please practice these things, okay? So till now, what are the things I've shared? I've shared what is the last document I've shared? So I've shared the table space management, right?
Yes.
So I'll be sharing now.
Undo and temporary also.
Management and temporary table space management and undo table space management, right? Yes. These are the things, documents I've shared. You can go there. You can start working on this. You can start practicing on this. So redo log mail management, those and all, I think I already shared. So DBA Unix Linux commands I've shared, right? So then what and all things for pending hours. Okay then. So in next upcoming classes, we will be having the Oracle backups. The details about the Oracle backups. What is the physical backup? What is the logical backup and the things. Then we will be moving to the advanced topics where RMAN will takes place. So guys, you have to practice a lot before going to advanced topics. I just want you all to understand the concepts, whatever we have gone through till now. So once the RMAN comes, so it's everything about the backup and restore, everything about backup and restore, cloning, that's all. So once that is done, I think we'll be able to complete the course.
So at what time you are coming tomorrow to institute?
Around 11:30 like that.
Okay, sir. Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, that's what I was asking to you. So if you guys any doubt, you can share me. So maybe hardly it will take 2 weeks or 10 days to complete the course from now onwards.
Okay.
Later I'll share some few interview questions. I'll share my resume. So once you guys are okay with practice, you can go and upload the resumes. Right?
Okay. You'll send the format, right?
Yeah. So this is how we go. This is how we plan in the up to next few days. So please practice the things.
Okay.
Okay. And let's try to understand the concepts. All right. If you don't have anything, I'm winding up. See you guys.
Yeah, bye, Vanu.
Bye bye.